Now we can see this this piece here cracked all along here. Some of this is below where there's right below where there's a doubler in here. It's the same as what we've got on that side. And it's cracking below it, cracking just up into it in this area right here. That is just up into the doubler. And it could be cleaned off. Somebody could TIG weld it. I'm going to use oxyacetylene. Oxyacetylene, the same as TIG welding, is real good at knowing that you've got full penetration on this when we weld through it. I'm doing more and more welding in the shop as more and more of the normal welding shops don't like doing small jobs. You know, I don't want to compete with welding shops, but some of these little jobs they just don't do it. They don't do it. So then I'm not really competing. He had drilled out the ends of where he saw the cracks. That wasn't really needed. We'll fill that in, but with the oxyacetylene, you can chase it and you'll see the crack open up and you put filler right in it. It doesn't matter. The drilling the end is more of a stress relieving. They mentioned that for a long time on mild steel for a lot of stuff, but it really comes more from the cast iron days for repairs, so that you have a nice rounded smooth edge so you don't have the continuation of an area that's already starting to crack and will quickly crack again with cast iron. We've shown a little bit of brazing before. I guess I need to pull a few of these pulled off of here. We'll go to the other side. You want to pull some of these off, or should I? You've got... So we turn on our acetylene and we turn it on not that far where the flame runs away, and not down so low that we got soot coming off, but just about in there where it's happy. Then we add oxygen, and just to where it first gets sharp. If you go beyond that, that's too much. That's oxidizing, burning up your steel. It's got kind of a feather, that's wrong. Just to where it sharpens in that middle cone. I would like slightly larger rod, but this is the steel rod I had handy. Paint is burning off. I'm going to go to a smaller tip. Yep, that's definitely going to be a bigger puddle than I want. Nope. I'm going to want a 1 or a 2. Probably a 2. They are sized according to heat. Number 3. We should have these hanging up somewhere. That would be nicer. Okay, put my glasses back on. Yeah, I'm going to just try the 1. I think the 1 might be a little cold, but I'm going to just try the 1. It's actually amazing how many professional welders don't know about welding with a torch. I mean, ones that, a lot of them that do TIG and all kinds of stuff. And the torch is a little bit different in that you hold it closer or further away to change your size of your puddle. Well, if you do that with TIG, you just dip your tungsten, and that's part of the thing with me. I have been doing not much TIG for a while, and while I used to do a lot of it, you get used to doing oxyacetylene, swapping back and forth can drive you crazy. Now, if we were doing this for auto body where it had to be pretty, we'd stop every now and then and pound the weld down while it's still red hot. And I haven't done that for many decades, but you can do it where you got a nice weld that doesn't take any filling. As far as body putty filler, I mean when you're done. You're still putting rod in. Torch changed on me a little bit. It's oxidizing a little bit. This is a Goldfield. I forget what they call it. I think they call it an Explorer, but I'm not sure. Goldfield is broke. They don't make stuff anymore. This was a water-powered shaker. Well, that's what it is. It's a water-powered shaker. And it's warped quite a bit. I'll let that part cool off some. Oxo-settling used to be the only way that muffler shops welded stuff. Now they pretty much wire through them. Yeah, we may have to pound it around a little bit again. I'm going to let it cool off and then we'll pound it around a little bit. We have the choice of pounding it hot or cold. I'd rather just pound it cold and work it little by little. And we'll go ahead and fill in this end hole here first, though, too. You don't want to fill in stuff that's not fitting together well. When you fill in the space, it really makes it hard to have something even halfway straight when you're done. So you just melt the metal, put some more metal in there. There's Savannah Engineering or Savannah Mine Equipment, something like that. They're reportedly are still making the comparable thing. I've thought a lot of times about making similar things. That Goldfield used to compete with me a little bit in making trommels, but they made wimpy little ones and nothing like what we made. Nothing. They made some advertised to do the kind of yardage that ours would do, but they never made anything that big or fancy. But they made some really nice little equipment. They also made some junk little equipment. They made some of both. Goldtron was one they made. It was one of their later ones, and it was it was a joke. It was a decent little shaker table on the bottom of it, but the rest of it, how it was supposed to one machine, it does everything, the rest of it was a joke. But these are real good. This thing here, the way it's designed, there's a leaf spring that goes, leaf spring that supports it across here, just a real light leaf spring on both sides. And then going across this, there's a bearing and a shaft and a little Pelton wheel. And I've actually made these at shops before. And the little Pelton wheel. So what you're doing is you're running water in here and it runs this Pelton wheel, and you've got a couple of off-center weights, and it shakes. This whole thing's mounted on springs, so it's a little baby shaker that you can take with you. You don't need extra power for it. It runs off of the water pump that you're sluicing with. So it's a pretty slick little thing, really. So we'll get on to some of our other. Did you want to take lunch, Bert?